Welcome to the Shulamite Podcast, an extension of Shulamite Ministries and Shulamite.com, with weekly interviews and teaching with author and speaker Martha Kilpatrick and hosted by John Enslow. This weekly podcast is a way to stay connected to the ministry. So come experience anointed messages, not giving just another method, but a living impartation.
I've been saying to the Lord about a week now, Lord, I want to know what that conference seemed like, because that was your resurrection life present there. Completely. I wasn't in it because I would have been if I could. If I could have pulled any strength of my own, I would have done it. But someone came yesterday and told me that it had a complete sequence. She said it was beautifully put together and beautifully orchestrated. So I want the resurrection life every second.
You know what I witnessed, because I'm there, I'm watching you, I'm having to not only record the message, but I'm having to be aware of what's going on so that I can, like you're missing something, boom, you have it there, whatever. So what I witnessed is because, I put you up there, kind of like propped you up, and then the visual I have of what happened was like, it was like a wind came through and went and picked you right up, and then did she not have energy and passion? And it was powerful.
It is exactly, there really aren't words. People saw it, they understood insofar as they could, but for those of us, it wasn't just, you had just finished the devotional, the mystery of discipleship. We were not finished yet with Altogether Forgiven. You literally had to stop 3/4 of the way through that book to do the conference. And you only left yourself 5 days before the conference to even begin looking at the conference the Lord had called you to do. And it wasn't just you. John and I both, I felt like I was going like whitewater rafting without a helmet, without a paddle. I wasn't even sure I had a raft half the time. I was just like, what is happening? It was unlike any conference since I've been here. You, John, me, I have never, and I remember I had at least a nervous breakdown a week. I don't mean that to sound faithless, though I am. But literally he would crunch me with the sheer amount of things to be done with all. These are big things. If you did one book in a year and that was it, it would still be incredibly time consuming on top of everything else, which was the message of the month and the daily devotional and all the articles and the blog posts and the podcasts. And then you add 3 huge things on top of that, all in a 4-month period. I thought I was losing my mind, and there were times when I would look at Martha and say, and she's got nothing. She's got nothing. And I got nothing. And I would just sit down and cry. And I'd be like, we got nothing. And it was somehow so perfect in that moment. I cried. I had a good cry. And then I'd come out of it and I'd look back on the week before and I'd say, but everything got done. Everything that needed to get done got done. And I didn't quite know how. I couldn't look back and say, well, guys, I'm just an excellent planner. This is good management, people.
So I forced you all to be as dependent as I was, huh?
Yes. No, but it was him coming down over the whole body. And I do think that's why the mystery of discipleship is such an anointed devotional, and that went out. The conference was from start to finish. We had some rumbles. Every conference has a few rumbles, Satan's always trying to tag in, but it really, in terms of the dynamic quality of the message from one to another, this build, I've never seen people that just focused, quiet in it.
They did. There was never an audience like that audience. They literally were spellbound. There was a difference. I could see it in their faces. I could see it in their countenance, in their body language. They were like this. And that was, I marveled at that even while I was speaking. Because I felt like I was so nothing. What are you listening to? How can you be so rapt? And you saw it too.
I always sit at the back at the conferences, so I'm looking at Martha, but I also had this nice view in like a C shape of the room, and I mean, I'm not saying I pay attention all the time because I got pretty sucked in too, but yeah, there's always a feel to a room and a spirit, and at the conferences, sometimes things don't lock into place right away. By the end of every conference, we are church. Jesus Christ is head. The Spirit has come in and made union of disparate people from all over the country and other countries, and that is the miracle of every conference we've ever had that I've been to since 2009. There is church by the end of it. But this one, it felt like from the first night, the Holy Spirit was just on the march.
And there were many people that I'd never met or knew existed.
Right. A lot of new ones.
A lot of new ones. But the next amazing thing was that Altogether Forgiven, which is 400 pages.
412.
412. It's your largest book. In this time, you did by far the largest book you've ever done.
Uh-huh. It's just astounding to me that book is astounding, because from beginning to end it was written in my worst condition. And when I couldn't really clean up my kitchen, I could sit down and write for 6 hours. And that is phenomenal on anybody's health and stamina. 6 hours of writing is much harder work than any physical labor you could do. And because of the intensity of it. And literally, I would work by the hour, hours and hours to do that, and I was amazed. So we've witnessed a miracle that we know is a miracle. And the miracle of his resurrection life taking over any human life, any human as a vessel. We are just a vessel of that resurrection life. And frankly, I've prayed a lot in the last years. I want to know the resurrection life. I want to experience it. I want to live. I'm supposed to live the resurrection life all the time. And I want to be there. I never dreamed what I'd go through to get there. Or I'd have been a little more surrendered. But I can honestly say that whatever I suffered was nothing compared to the joy of what he was able to accomplish in spite of me. And he emptied this vessel to my toes, and then he filled it with himself. And that I say without apology. So I'm sending out a big thank you hug to everybody that prayed for me. If they prayed even once, it took an enormous amount of prayer to come together that one moment when I was released from it, and totally released from it. I'm going to read the whole passage from Isaiah 40 in the Amplified. Have you not known, have you not heard? Meaning we should. The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not faint or grow weary, and there is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint and weary. To him who has no might, he increases strength, causing it to multiply and making it to abound. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and selected young men shall feebly stumble and fall exhausted. That's the human condition. But those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in him, and that's a correct translation. It doesn't mean you sit in a chair passively and you just nothing until God comes. It means it's that vision I had of David many years ago, of alert, like a man ready on the go because he knew God was going to do something. He just didn't know when or how. And so you're entirely alert, entirely situated for God to come. And those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, hope in him, shall change and renew their strength and power. They shall lift up their wings and mount up close to God as eagles mount up to the sun. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint or become tired. Isn't that perfect? And that's what I've started by. I believe there is authority in this. I believe that I'm going to say I overcame that sickness, even though I didn't do one thing to be rid of it. But I overcame because of the prayers of others, because of waiting before the Lord, because of asking to be healed. Surrendering, the hardest work of that illness was surrendering. My daughter would say to me, Mom, you have to accept it. And I would say to her, I know that's true, but I can't. I can't live like this. I can't accept it. So he will have to give me the very acceptance he's asking of me. I was that weak. I couldn't even bow to it. I don't like to be weak. I like to work. I like to go. I like to be productive or be alive. And this was like some long-term, terrible paralysis of my whole being. And so I wanted to be free, and I begged to be free. But I was at his mercy.
We hope you've enjoyed the Shulamite podcast. For all the latest from Shulamite Ministries, please visit us at Shulamite.com, where you'll find Martha's daily devotions, posts from GetAlongWithGod.com, and the online library of all of Martha's writings. At Shulamite.com, downloading the free Shulamite app is easy, and LivingChristianBooks.com is only a click away. Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover a God worth knowing.